What's up, guys? It's John Dominique, the Soul Proponent. Today I want to talk about the soul as an actual lived experience. I noticed that a lot of people want to theorize, they want to keep things intellectual, they want to use their reason and their mind and their logic to make progress on the path to the soul, but that's not the way it works. That's not it. This is kind of difficult because a lot of people, they understand in theory that it sounds good, like this story that I present about the soul as a parable about, or the Jesus being a parable about the soul, born pure of a virgin, miraculous, buried and rejected, yet lives forever. People say, oh, that sounds kind of nice, it sounds kind of right, but they want to keep it in their heads. They don't want to actually do any practicing. And what I'm trying to say is that there's a difference between theory and practice. So we need to understand that the soul is an actual lived experience. It's not just something to be talked about and pondered and just to be kept in our head as a mental exercise. And that's where things get difficult, because society and the way a lot of our learning has been, our conditioning, our civilization is not oriented towards actually doing the practice to make the soul an actual lived reality. And the reason that is often is because people don't really want to pay the cost. They don't want to pay the price of walking the path and actual living the soul as an actual lived experience. So they tend to just keep it in their heads and just keep it as a mental idea. And, it sounds good in theory to them. And once they get more information, they think it makes sense, but they don't know how to actually put it into practice and how to actually live it. So the cost and the price is what we have to be willing to face, that we have to be willing to be ready to let go of whatever we're hanging on to, all of our beliefs, and even our beliefs that the soul will give us something, that if we believe in God, if we try hard enough, that it will bring a certain outcome that we've been looking for all our lives, and we don't know what that is. We need to be able to let go of all the efforting, and the cost of actually living the path to the soul is really great. People tend to underestimate it. Sometimes people will say, oh yeah, it's easy they make it seem like it's easy. But in actual practice, it's very difficult, because we've been conditioned the total opposite of the path. The path is a letting go, it's non-attachment, and then letting go of the practice of non-attachment. So it's kind of like a double bind, because the identity, ego, personality, it wants to think its way through. It feels like if it just tries hard enough, if it just puts forth enough effort, that things will work out. But that's not it. In fact, that's put us deeper in a hole, deeper in the trenches. That'll make us more fixated and make the process more difficult. So we need to be aware of that and see how sensitive this is. It's a very vulnerable area. When people find this out, they tend to judge themselves really harshly about it. They know that this is not it, and then they beat themselves up about it. So there's this thing called the judge, and the judge is like embedded in society. It's like a character in the background that's always measuring our value, measuring our self-worth according to some standards and rules that society, that we've picked up from society and from our parents and our peer groups all our lives. And it's very unconscious. So one of the practices is to pay attention and be aware of this judge and the judgment process and how it operates in us, and to understand it deeply, because this is a part of us. It's part of our identity. It's embedded unconsciously in our identity. It gets its power from being secret and being unconscious. So we need to actually exercise our awareness, exercise our consciousness, and dive deeply into, and that's the beauty of the path. It's inside, it's interior, it's deep inside us. It's not in our heads. A lot of times we think we can think our way through this, but no, we have to go into the core and center of our hearts, of the fabric of our being, our soul, our essence. And when people hear these kind of words, they, it sounds nice and all that, but to actually practice and to see this and to live it, it's a very tall order, and we have to keep doing it even if we don't see any results. So we have to be willing and ready to let go of the need to have results. If we just follow the truth, the spiritual awakening will happen. It's just a matter of time. And we need to see how this judgment is keeping us away from the truth of our intrinsic value, of our inherent worth, our dignity. And this is a difficult thing, again, because it's very unconscious and not many people are willing to pay the price. The price is, when we continue to see this judgment process and the judge in the background of our lives, it's a matter of disengaging from the need to have the support of this process of having, let's say, an authority figure and a young person. Like, there's this dynamic in this relationship, and we're very attached to this, because without this type of attachment of the good and the bad, right, wrong, weak, strong, like all these dichotomies, these dualities, without this, we feel we won't survive. And we have to be willing to give up the need to survive, which is a very, very deep instinct in our DNA, in our bodies. Like, we're wired naturally to resist not surviving. So we have to challenge that and face the fact that we're going to have to let go of our need to survive, our instinct to survive, and let go of the judgment and let go of its process, let go of the need to control. There's going to be nothing left. There's going to be vulnerability. And this is not something we can just intellectually once or twice feel it. It happens ongoing, continuously. There's going to come times where it's going to feel overwhelming. We're not going to like it. We're going to want to run away. We're not going to want to walk the path anymore. And that's where it gets us. It's in the long run. Because a lot of people, they try the path and then they make some progress, but they get to a point where it gets too difficult and then they give up and they don't want to have anything to do with it anymore. And we need to see that that's okay, take a couple steps back, and that's okay to do that. And then you have to come back to it, though. Don't just let go and then not come back to it. You have to kind of build from where we left off from the last time. So it's a process. What I'm trying to say is that the path of the soul is not just intellectual. It's not just in our heads. We have to actually walk the path and see how it works, and to experience the soul in our own awareness, in our own hearts, deep in the fabric of our solar plexus and our sternum. It's very deep inside us. It's almost like a substance that we have to become aware of. It comes from. It's not a gathering. It's not a collection. It's not a collection of thoughts or theories or ideas. It's an uncovering, revealing, a letting go, a peeling back of layers, unlearning, undoing. And this is very counterintuitive. Most people don't even know this is a thing. But if you try it once or twice and you see how it works, it might scare you and you might be like, I don't think I want to do this. Because the cost is very high. To let go of your identity, who you think you are, and your need to survive. Like, most people will not survive long with that line of thinking, and that line of reasoning. People see that that's the path. It's like losing all your supports. It's losing all your grounding. It's losing your foundation. It's losing all your security. Everything that you've built up in this identity of who you want to be and who you are, and the world around you, the relationships that you have, all of this crumbles away, and there's nothing. There's no support for anything. You don't know which way is up, which way is down. There's emptiness. It's blackness. It's terrorizing. But that's part of the path. That's the vulnerability. We need to feel the vulnerability. This is not just something to say, hey, in theory, that's what's going to happen. But to actually feel it and to go through the process in its entirety, that's a whole nother story. That's the crux of what I'm saying. This is not just a theory to be thought about in our heads and to be talked about. That sounds good in theory. I'm talking about an actual lived reality, experiencing it firsthand, directly. It's a long process, but my message is here to help people through this. I know that there's people, they know that there's something more in our hearts unconsciously. They know that the theories that they have, like, it sounds like it's a dead end. Like the story of Jesus in traditional Christianity sounds like that's it. And then we're stuck with whatever is there. But I'm going to propose that it's just the beginning. All right. So the story of Jesus and the Bible and knowing all this, like we think, oh, we get to heaven when we're dead. And that's not it. You're just beginning the path. We need to do this now. It's not waiting until we're dead to get to heaven and find salvation. It's for people who are alive here and now in this present moment and nowhere else. We need to be aware of this, to feel it and to see it, experience it for ourselves. That's what I'm here for. And I need people to help me try to spread this message and just get understanding, first of all, with what I'm saying. And maybe slowly but surely you can learn a little bit on your own and see how this works and develop your own skills for your own growth, for your own spiritual growth and your own awakening, because that's the way this works. This is not just for me to be kept a secret, to be buried in the ground. This is for people who really are looking for it, who are sincerely searching, who are going to be honest about the path and walking the truth, walking the path to the truth, to God and the soul. So that's my message today. There's a big difference between theory and practice. The path of the soul is an actual lived reality, and we need to actually feel it and experience it for ourselves. There's no other way to do it. John Dominique, the Soul Proponent.